Saturday, and I am off for probably the first time and the last time in about a month. So I'm gonna make the most of it. Did a little off-roading this morning. Figured out what I could and couldn't do with Quiver, my F-150. But that was fun. There's some stuff that I just wouldn't do in that truck. It's too heavy, it's too long, and it's not, you know, it's not really set up for, like, you know, these roads and stuff like that. So these back country Arizona roads where you're going through, you know, mountains and stuff like that, I just wouldn't do it. Plus, I can't afford to blow a differential or blow an axle or anything like that, so it is what it is. I've got plenty of room to do stuff. Shooting pretty well at 30 yards. Decent. Beautiful scenery. I think this is a horse trail. There's horse shit all over the place, so, but I mean, a bunch of off-roaders come out through here, so I wouldn't be surprised if I saw one here in a couple of minutes. But I mean, this is just far enough off the beaten path that, you know, I may only see one. And then the city where I live is, there's like a valley down through there, those mountains. It goes down in there. But this is a really fun place to be. It's only like 15 minutes away from my apartment, so I'm gonna take advantage of this all I can. Still rusty. Thought too much about what I want to do. I haven't really had the time, but you know, I'm getting to the point in my life where I desire like the freedom of what I want to do. And right now in my job, in my industry, I'm not really getting the freedom that I want. And part of the problem is that, like, I think with the jobs that I've had is that you learn from failure, okay? And you learn what works and what doesn't work. And with the industry that I'm in, you know, you've got a couple of people working, you know, 16, 17-hour days that make up for a whole bunch of other people. And I guess that's true with every industry, but every job, you know, every company and stuff like that. But it's those people that are working like 16, 17 hours a day, you know, working on holidays and stuff like that, that, you know, drag the other people along. And, you know, a lot of the time when you get those 16, 17-hour day workers, they're doing that because they genuinely love the company or community that they work for. And so there's this weird thing with leverage where if you have someone like that and you know they'll never leave, there's no reason to, you know, that person has lost all their leverage. So they just keep on making up for the other people around him. And then, you know, sometimes those people stay for pretty much their entire career, and sometimes those people leave, and it leads to, you know, catastrophic shit happening. And that's the only way that they learn. And I don't know. I think that leads to a lack of, you know, freedom of, you know, this is what I want to do, and I know that this is going to cause growth in the community industry or the company that I work for, but, you know, I'm not really given the full creative control. Like I've tried to do some social media management for, you know, a couple of the companies that I've worked for, and it's one of those things where, like with social media, it's very instantaneous. You have to be Johnny on the spot. You have to get that stuff out quick, and it's a lot of the times it's something where something spontaneous happens and you record it and then get it out through social media, and these can be really, really good powerful things that you can, you know, push out to your community, constituency, whoever you work for, or whoever the company is that you serve, your customer base, and it can be an incredibly powerful tool. And I don't know, the industry that I'm in, you know, working for local municipalities, you know, government agencies, and parks and rec in general, they are incredibly resistant to using social media to their advantage, and it's really frustrating for me, because you can see the change in customer base, you can see the change in demographics to that's where people get their information now. And a lot of the parks and rec departments that I've worked for and see around, they still rely on flyers. And it's like there's a time and a place for flyers, you know, paper flyers, but that's all they do. They think that those flyers work, and a lot of the times it's because, you know, you can't prove that it didn't work. And I think one of the best things, I find that a lot of times I'm not able to convey my message in like a smart or, you know, understandable way of thinking. I just kind of like vomit it out. It sounds good in my head, and then when it comes out of my mouth, it doesn't sound very good. But I heard somebody else talk about social media, and they said that, you know, the demographics part is only part of it. You know, you're getting a lot of your you know, customer base or community that has now grown up never not having a cell phone. I mean, I remember what it was like not having a cell phone when I was a kid. I think I got my first crappy little flip phone in high school. But now you've got people with kids nowadays, with growing families, that have never known what it's like to not have a cell phone, and then you've got, you know, kids growing up that don't know what it's like to not have a social media world. So that's where they get all of their information. And in my industry, the parks and rec industry, they seem to think that flyers are the way to go. And I've seen a couple of departments that really make an effort and have really like, you know, seen the epiphany and have really diversified the way that they market and communicate with the public. But a lot of the industry, a lot of the parks and rec departments I've seen, they don't want to do it. They'll post flyers over social media and think that that's a good post. It's not. Like, that's not what people are looking for in information when it comes to that. So I don't know. I thought about going to the private sector, and, you know, because I'm by no means an expert, but I've seen enough people who have managed social media accounts to know that, like, a bunch of those people are fucking morons. And that's coming from someone who, like, you know, never thought that their skills with doing this kind of stuff was good or good enough to even consider doing that. But I've seen a lot of people out there recently that just are not very good at social media, and they don't, and I hear them talk, and I can immediately tell that it's like, how do I know more than this person? Like, I just got into this stuff like 5 years ago, and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a long rant, and it's kind of a confusing rant, but yeah, it's just I'm not getting to where I want to be right now in terms, and it's weird because it'd be one thing if it, like, social media was my job. It's not, but I want to help out in every way that I can, and sometimes, actually most of the time, I feel like the things that I do, if I'm running an event or if I'm running a program, especially ones that are new, that, you know, don't have staying power, that don't have that history of being successful, so people don't know to, like, look for it. You know, that's something where those are incredibly hard to get off the ground, and I feel like social media would help with that, thinking of creative ways to market that to your demographic and to your community would really help. And the problem is that a lot of times, you know, I feel like when events or programs fail, they just get mothballed when it was really our failure to market it towards the public effectively. We're throwing out flyers that people just get handed and then they throw away. It's not effective, and you know, so that's why I've tried to diversify this. In fact, I didn't start doing these videos because I wanted to make videos about archery or knife making or anything like that. I started because I talked to someone who showed me the benefits of having social media and having a strong social media presence, and what that does for getting the younger generation to buy in and to become aware about your events, your programs, your services, and stuff like that. So I just thought that, you know, doing this stuff where I film myself shooting a bow would help me, because it's a low stress environment where I can learn without having a deadline due. It's something where I can go, well, let's see if this works, and there's no repercussions if it doesn't. If I goes, ugh, that looks like dog shit, I mean, there's no repercussions to that. Whereas in the professional world, if that happens and a product doesn't look the way it should, or you took a chance and a risk and it didn't pay off, there are repercussions for that. You could lose a contract. You could, you know, you could get, you know, there are repercussions for that where, you know, it will be seen as a failure, and, you know, it won't be very good for you personally or professionally. Whereas, you know, if I'm doing this in the middle of nowhere, I can do whatever I want to. I can take risks. I can play with stuff, because in the end, if I'm happy with it, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, it's me. But I've also learned that something about myself, where I have higher standards for myself than others do for me, which, you know, I didn't realize until, like, recently. I am afflicted by perfectionism. And, you know, if my work doesn't turn out perfect, I get incredibly depressed, and, you know, I get incredibly frustrated, where, you know, other people would not see that little detail that was, you know, that was bugging me or nagging me. So, yeah, it's something where, I don't know. Let's take a couple more shots and see if I can organize my thoughts, because archery helps me do that. Let's do it. That last shot was alright. Consistency is the key here in archery. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. So, I don't know what happened on that second shot. I didn't like it. First, second, third. Third was right on the money. So, have I organized my thoughts? No. But I didn't even think about talking during that last one, so it could be that just that time away helps me out. But back to my original point about social media in the Parks and Rec industry. I feel like there's so much being left out on the table. You know, that we could take advantage of, and sooner or later that change in how people get their information is going to come back to bite the industry in the ass. I genuinely believe that. And, you know, I haven't really had a department that I've worked for who's let me fully, you know, take it over and you know, do my own ideas, you know, because government social media is so far behind everyone else, and we're not talking about, you know, trying to get clicks, trying to get views, because that's not the, you have to have a goal for social media. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, you have to have a goal in mind. And with government social media, you know, Parks and Rec, you've got some really, really exciting things that happen in Parks and Rec. You've got aquatics, you've got special events, you've got programming. I mean, archery programs that Parks and Rec, a lot of Parks and Rec departments run. Like, you've got exciting things that people want to hear about, and you've got exciting things that people want to experience, and that's what you're selling in Parks and Rec, in government Parks and Rec, is the experience. You're selling, you're giving people the opportunity to experience archery for oftentimes the first time ever. Like, you know, those kids that come through archery programs that, you know, they get hooked on it. Like, I was one of them. I got into archery because I went to a camp in Ohio, and they had archery there, and I was hooked on the spot. I just loved it. You know, it was something that really, really spoke to me. And if I hadn't gone to that camp, you know, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you about archery and social media and stuff like that. So, and that wasn't an archery camp. It was just a camp where they happened to have archery there. And I said, oh, okay, I'll sign up for that. And then immediately hooked, and I can't stop. And it's something that's incredibly, incredibly important to me in life. And, you know, that's what Parks and Rec is supposed to provide. You're supposed to provide great experiences for people, whether it be special events, you know, aquatics, learn to swim programs as well. I mean, how many drownings are there every year at, you know, not just local, you know, municipal pools, but, you know, in the ocean where, you know, people have never been taught to swim. And every single human can be taught to swim. I don't care if you think that, you know, certain people have like higher density, bone density. I don't care. I sink like a rock, and I learned how to swim, and I became a lifeguard and got really, really good at swimming. But if you tell me to tread water, I will sink like a rock. I'm just that dense. You know, I've seen a guy who is paralyzed from the waist down, and he swims laps at the pool. Like, anyone could be taught how to swim, and that's just an example of something that could be recreationally fun, or something that will help you in life not die when you go to the ocean. I mean, those are very important programs, and I feel like in Parks and Rec we're not doing what we need to do to market those programs to say, hey, this can be fun, this can be interesting, why don't you come out to our program and see what it's all about. So, you know, I've never had a department that I've worked for where, you know, they talk a big game and they say, you know, oh yeah, we'd love for you to run our social media, but then they put walls in place and they put, you know, all these different policies in place where, you know, it has to go through 7 different people and then up the chain and then come back down before you post it. And when it comes back down, there's all these changes made to it that don't make any sense from people that don't know what they're doing on social media. And it's just like, you know, it gets to the point where you're like, this is pointless. So why did I even offer to do this in the first place? It's not even my job. I want something to help me do my job. And, you know, that's just incredibly frustrating. And so, yeah, I've become incredibly envious of those Parks and Rec departments who make it a mission to let the community that they work for know what they're doing through social media, whether it be programming, special events, giving updates, you know, just raising awareness about what they're doing for their community, because ultimately it's funded by taxpayer money. And a lot of times I don't think that the community really sees what they're paying for in a Parks and Rec department, and social media allows that to happen. Now, I know that a lot of departments are afraid of, you know, sort of afraid of that because, you know, they could be seen as, you know, a certain program wasting money because some rando on the internet just starts spamming the account with, oh, this is a useless program, like it could be, you know, spent on other things. But like, you can't worry about those people. And, you know, I genuinely think that if you are raising public awareness about what they're paying for, especially when it comes to Parks and Rec, because like everybody loves Parks and Rec besides those weirdos, but everybody loves Parks and Rec, and they want the community to, they want the Parks and Rec department to give them things like that. So I've never had a Parks and Rec department that let me fully go and just like do what I need to do like on the spot. And you know, it's really frustrating, but and that's why I've thought about going to the private sector, because in the private sector it's make me money and we'll be fine. I'll let you do whatever you want. Now there can be, you know, pros and cons to that, you know, but I think going to the private sector might be which stage I'm at in my career, because, you know, I really think that things are being left on the table, and I'm not getting to do what I need to do to market, like, you know, what events and programs that I'm putting on, and nobody knows about them. So yeah, I don't really know what to do, but I've also thought about, you know, going into business for myself, which that's what I talked about in my last video about, you know, concocting a plan for my future and, you know, what I really want to get out of this right here. So I thought about that a little bit. I could start doing gear reviews, although everybody does those, so it's not really, you know, I'd have to think of some creative way to be different. But I would love to get together with a archery pro shop and start making videos for them and start doing gear reviews for them, you know, when new products come out, like new bows. That would be the life right now. I would love to do that, but I've reached out to a couple of archery pro shops, but a lot of them, I don't know, I don't think a lot of them either have the time or the interest, or, you know, they wouldn't be able to pay you anything. or they're just not aware. Like, I think the bow rack does an incredible job of, you know, utilizing social media and like getting into the 21st century when it comes to hunting and bows and stuff like that. I mean, those guys are great, and you know, I think a lot of archery pro shops could learn a thing or two about how they, you know, how their business has flourished because of, you know, social media and their presence on social media. And they got a lot of personality too. So yeah, I don't know. It might take some convincing, and I super willing to try, but you know, I think that'd be cool to review new gear, new bows and stuff like that. So that, you know, that's kind of my focus right now, on the independent career path. But you know, I'm still in the public sector as of right now, and I'll probably continue to be at the same you know, place I am right now for the next probably year. But I'm gonna start, you know, putting together the building blocks to possibly get out of the public sector. So that's one of the things that I've learned over the last 5 years, is that always have an exit plan, always have a plan for the future, and always find ways to reinvent yourself. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of doing that over the last couple of years. So you know, anything's possible in the future, and yeah, that's an update on what I'm doing right now. So hopefully in the next year I can figure out what I want to do, but you know, until that happens, I'm just gonna take it slow and keep coming out here and making pointless archery videos to send off into the internet for no one to watch. So let's shoot some more. That's alright. Not very consistent right now. It's alright, I'm not doing any hunting. Oh. Speaking of No Hunt 2021, I may have found a place to go wild boar hunting in Arizona. And if I can do that, I will try my best to film it. I've never filmed a hunt on the ground. I've filmed a couple of hunts in a tree where I built my own swing arm to, you know, manipulate, and it stays right where you set it. Hunting on the ground and filming it would be completely different. I mean, that would be difficult. And there are professional hunters that do that, and they have difficulty with it. So it might be something where I get a blind and sit in that thing on a water hole or something like that. But if I can do that, I will try. Won't promise I'll see anything, but also I've heard wild boar meat is delicious, especially when you know how to cook it. And that would be a whole bunch of meat that I would have for a very, very long time. So I'm really excited for that, and I will try to make that happen. So I think this is the end of this video because I've gone on for long enough, but I think the drone footage that I have is just absolutely gorgeous, especially with the scenery out here. So I think I'm going to keep doing that and making that a staple of the end of my videos. So let's go ahead and end the video right now with some drone footage. Please enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.